Okay, so we're live.
So we are going to think about the different. Wait, can you guys stop this business with my thing from getting
Dude, no, I can't stop the stream right now.
my
Okay.
stream keeps glitching.
Oh no. Okay. Hi guys, it's Capital S from Tech World. I'm here with Chillax and Satvik Agarwal, and today we're going to talk about all the best operating systems out there, Windows, Linux, and macOS. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each operating system, and in the end, we're going to come to a conclusion of which operating system is the best operating system. So, who's going to start? Is anybody going to start? Hey guys, we're having some technical difficulties right now. Okay, so we're having some technical difficulties. Sopic's having some technical difficulties, so, yeah. Oh no. Okay. Hey guys, we're having
It'll be work.
Okay, so we're having some technical difficulties. Sopic's having some technical difficulties, so... Okay. Are you guys ready?
It's testing the bandwidth right now. Wait.
Oh, this... Okay. Satvik, get the stream key. Put
Yeah,
it
I
in...
got my stream key. Wait, no, but how do you exit bandwidth testing?
Bandwidth test?
Yeah.
What do you mean bandwidth test?
It's testing my bandwidth for some reason.
I'm not having your stream. So just present.
Wait, can we just wait a little bit, okay? Yeah, I don't think anyone.
Oh wait, is YouTube testing it?
I don't know.
Is YouTube testing it or is OBS testing it?
I think it's OBS.
Oh. I don't think OBS tests it. You just open up OBS, click File, click Video, and then put in your stream key, and then click OK.
File, then what?
File, then Settings, then Stream. Okay.
I already did all that stuff.
YouTube/YouTube Gaming, primary YouTube ingest server. Okay. And then whenever you go to your stream, your live control room.
Okay, I found something how to disable a bandwidth test mode.
Concurrent viewers 1. Analytics, concurrent viewers 1. Are you ready?
Let me test.
Dude, the test is to make sure you have enough internet speed. Are you ready?
Okay, it's working. It's working.
It's working? Okay. So I'm gonna restart the introduction, okay?
Okay.
Hey guys, it's Capital from Tech World. I'm here with Chillax and Satvik Agarwal, and today we're gonna talk about the best operating systems out there. So Windows, macOS, and Linux. All three of these operating systems have really good advantages and really good disadvantages, and we're gonna talk about each and every one of them. So stay tuned if you want to learn more. Okay, so which operating system is gonna go first?
Linux. Linux first.
Linux first? Okay. So yeah, okay. So I'm gonna do Linux. Chillax is gonna do Windows, and Saltvik is gonna do macOS. Okay. So we're just gonna address all of the main points for Linux and why Linux is the best operating system. So if I can find my notes here. Come on. Okay. Hello. Okay. So, the first thing that's really good about Linux is that it comes in many different forms of distributions and desktop environments to fit the user's needs. So, there are multiple distributions, and each distribution is aimed towards a specific set of users, and these distributions have different features. So, let's say you're a programmer. There is a distribution for that. Each distribution has, because each distribution has a different set of features, some are more oriented towards programmers, some are more oriented towards users who just want a simple operating system, and some are oriented towards some are even oriented towards people who are coming from Windows, because those user interfaces have, there are Linux distributions that are more tailored towards those who are coming from Windows. They have like a Windows, they're designed after the Windows UI. They kind of look like the Windows UI, so it's easier for those people who are coming from Windows to switch to Linux. And also another thing, Linux is completely open source, so if you're the type of person who likes to get dirty with the operating system, view its source code and edit it, you can actually create your own distribution of Linux as well. So, and also because it's also open source, Linux is completely free to use, unlike macOS, which is completely closed source and proprietary. You have to pay $1,000 to use it on a hardware locked machine. And Windows, even though you can download it for free, you can't view its source code, at least legally. That means that Linux gives you full control over your operating system, including its updates. So if you've ever seen Windows, it's telling you to constantly update whenever there's an update, and whenever you press that restart button, it forces you to update. So here's the thing about that. Let's say you're working on something very important. Let's say you have an assignment due, okay? It's due at 11:59 at midnight, and it's 11:57, and you need to restart for some reason, okay? But you don't want the update, hindering you from submitting that assignment on time. So Windows doesn't give you full control over your operating system, while Linux does, and that is a great thing to have. So let's see. And also, Linux is a very lightweight operating system, and it takes up less RAM. So if you're using an older machine, or you have a machine with relatively low specs, Linux can actually run on that, and versus Windows, it'll actually be much faster in terms of running applications, the smoothness of the operating system, and much more. So some examples of this, if you've ever heard of the Extra PC or seen ads for the Extra PC on YouTube, the Extra PC is basically, so what they claim to do, it's like a USB stick that plugs into your computer, and it has basically an operating system on it. So instead of booting into Windows, you'll boot into the Extra PC instead. But what most people don't know about Extra PC is that it's actually a dubbed version of Linux. So yeah, it's basically Linux on a USB stick, and the reason it's able to revive your PC is because of Linux's lightweight operating system. Another example of this is Neverware Cloud Ready. So Neverware Cloud Ready is basically a mock-up of Chrome OS. I shouldn't say a mock-up. It's the open source version of Chrome OS, which is Chromium OS. Chromium OS is actually Chrome OS and Chromium OS are actually both based off of Linux. And if you've ever looked at the Chromebook's price category, their hardware, the hardware of Chromebooks isn't necessarily top notch. That's why, because it uses the Linux kernel, that's why Chromebooks are able to run on such low-powered hardware. It's because Linux is so lightweight that it doesn't need that high-end specs. But it still can utilize the high-end specs, but it doesn't need the high-end specs to run smoothly. And I have more. Okay, so Linux can often be more secure than Windows or even macOS because it isn't as targeted by cyber attacks due to its small user base. Now, there are only a small number of people on Linux right now. It's by small I mean it's a pretty large number, but compared to Windows and macOS, Linux literally takes up about 2% of the market share. While this is a kind of a disadvantage, it's still a really huge advantage. The reason why is because Windows and macOS are most targeted by cyber attackers. So Linux is not going to be as targeted. You're less likely to get cyber attacks. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And also, it's much better for privacy because it collects little to no user data. So here's the thing: Windows and macOS are both proprietary OSs, meaning that they both come from companies. So macOS, it's made by Apple. I'm sorry, I don't know why it took so long to say that, but macOS is made by Apple, and you can only use it on Apple devices. Whereas and you can't edit its source code either. Windows is made by Microsoft, and it can't have its source code edited either. Okay. But these companies, what they do, okay, what they try, like, let's say you have a bug on your system, okay, it causes an application to crash. Okay, what Windows or macOS will do is that they'll collect user diagnostic data for their purposes, meaning that they're gonna literally take some of your data, and that's a huge threat to privacy. Okay, Linux is completely community based, meaning that Linux is you only share, like, if you have a problem, you share whatever data that you want. No company is gonna come behind your back trying to take your data just to improve on their software. Okay, so Linux is much better for privacy. So, and then Linux has a great community of users, so if you ever have a problem, you can turn to community forums for help. Okay, so have you ever stayed in line waiting for customer service? Wait time is 1 hour 7 minutes. And you waste basically all of your time trying to get customer service, right? Well, guess what? You don't have to do that with Linux. Linux forums are actually very readily available to help. And if you might think, if I post something on the forum, won't it take long to respond? No, because Linux has compared to, even though the other operating systems have more users than Linux still has a wide community of users. Okay, and these users are ready to help, and it's not common to, like, post a response and within a minute get a really good response back. That's how good Linux community forums are. Okay, so, and then Linux is also, if you're looking for server deployment, Linux is a great option because, first of all, it won't be as taxing on your CPU and GPU and your RAM. So Linux is a great option for server deployment, and it's also kind of made for servers, so Linux is a great choice for those. Okay, and also, if you guys didn't know, even Apple and Microsoft use Linux for their servers. That's how reputed Linux is in the server front. Okay, and also many operating systems are based off of or share common roots with Linux. So Android, the Android operating system, it's based off of Linux. Let's see, Chrome OS is based off of Linux, and many others are based. And then iOS and iPadOS actually share a common ancestor with Linux as well. So these are Linux's advantages. Linux has many advantages, and even though it's not as user friendly as, say, Windows is, Linux is still a great operating system, and if you can get to know Linux, it's really good. Okay, so who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
So Chillax is going next. Windows.
Alright, so first of all, what I want to say is that Capitalist made some really good points out there. Gotta give it out to him. So, right now, I want to go against the Mac OS operating system, and I'm literally going to talk about the Mac computers. Now, right now, there are also thousands of PC computers sold at thousands of retailers. So there's basically a ton ton of variation when it comes up to Macs, alright, and Windows slash price of there's a variation between both the Windows and the Macs if you think about the price. Earlier, Caplish mentioned about the operating system cost, about um, the Windows and Mac. As you can see, um, the operating system for Windows obviously has some cost to it, and the macOS operating system also does. But on the other hand, Linux is free. But does it mean that Linux is better? Alright, for the cost effectiveness, Macs, on the other hand, have an almost universal price. They make their price so high. Some people say it's worth it, and some people say it's not. So you're basically less likely to get a good deal. So that was just a summary for the cost effectiveness of Macs. Now, what I want to talk about is gaming, something that Caplish did not mention. Gaming. Now, the gaming industry is very huge, and computer games are becoming more advanced and also require a large amount of space. And they have graphics cards which require a lot of amount of space, like I just said. And for the price of Mac, think about the price of a MacBook, alright? And it certainly couldn't run the latest game titles. If you think about it, Windows has a bunch of options for games. There's so many options. Unlike the Mac, it doesn't have many options. Linux, on the other hand, I guess it's okay for games, I guess. Plus, many games are simply not compatible with the Mac/Linux operating system. So Windows is the best option if you want to be a gamer. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about the RAM that is required. For example, Windows virtual memory is much more effective than Mac's, way more effective. A PC running, which is basically on low memory, will run slow. It won't break down. So for the Windows, there's not as much RAM required as much as the Mac. So this means that you basically need less RAM in a Windows computer to ensure that the Windows computer is reliable. Alright, so now I'm basically going to talk about the technical support for the operating systems for both computers. So if you think about it, Apple technical support is more expensive than Windows and PC support. Alright? Obviously, Apple, in my opinion, I feel like Apple makes their prices too high. Linux and Windows can agree on that. And first of all, there's very cheap technical support for the Windows, but on the other hand, for the Mac, technical support for the Mac is high. The price is very high, and I think the Windows technical support is pretty good compared to the Mac, even though the Mac price is high. But that is just an opinion. Not all computers stores deal with Macs. And taking your device directly to Apple can be costly at the same time. Now, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. I mean, what I like especially about Windows computers is touchscreen. Now, touchscreen is actually very useful. Macs don't support touchscreen. They don't support touchscreen. I have no idea why. There might be a reason to it, but they do not support touchscreen. And I think that touchscreen is a really useful, really useful feature. For example, it's the coronavirus. Right? The coronavirus pandemic is happening right now. And a lot of people have online classes. And people use whiteboard, online whiteboard for online classes. And if you want to draw on the whiteboard, it's harder to draw with the mouse. But if you have a touchscreen laptop/computer, I think that it is much easier and it's just more compatible. Your hand with the screen. It's just more easier to on the screen if you want to explain anything, and like that. So now I am going to be talking about Linux versus Windows. Now, first of all, I want to talk about the user interface of Windows. The user interface of Microsoft Windows is much better in my opinion and like super easy to adjust as compared to other open source operating systems. This is basically due to the fact that the Microsoft Windows is designed in such a way that like basically the most basic users can adjust to. It's more easier to adjust to Windows than Linux because if you want to start off with Linux as like a beginner, I do not suggest you to do that. I suggest you to go with Mac or Windows because you at least need a technical idea about the Linux operating system. And again, gaming. So gaming on Linux is pretty good, but again, Windows beats Linux in gaming because again, the gaming industry is getting huge, and Windows is very like compatible to handle different types of games more than Linux. But I mean, in my opinion, Linux is not that bad for gaming. And again, even though Linux's operating system is free, Windows is easier to set up. I know it might not make a drastic difference, but Windows does not require any technicality as anyone can easily install it. But when it comes to installing Linux, it can be a bit technical. Like I said earlier, you need to at least have a technical idea about Linux. So again, the Windows operating system is overall easy for beginners. I think it's very easy to use. It's compatible for gaming, and I think it is better than Linux and macOS in so many ways. So thank you. And macOS is next.
Yeah.
Okay. When you look for an operating system, would you want an operating system made by a company that has lots of experience? Apple is the richest company in the world, and they have the most experience with operating systems. They started creating their operating system in 1984, and it came with the graphical interface. macOS has lots of security. Their current Macs come with the T2 security chip, which is hardware-based security. Things such as your fingerprint lock are handled by the hardware, so it's harder to hack.
Satvik. Sorry, quick interruption. We have a person who wants to join the chat, who wants to join the video call.
Cool. No. What? Video call specifically?
Oh yeah, he wants to join this video call right now. Sharva.
Like who?
Sharva.
No, dude, we said it would be only us three right now.
Okay, so
Maybe
if we have
it's only us three. That's what we planned.
okay, if we have time for other people, we can join them at the end, right?
Yeah, after I'm done, and
Okay, Sharva, thank you for contributing. If we have time, we will join you. Okay, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Satvik, continue.
okay.
We can continue.
To continue, the Apple App Store is one of the best app stores because it also combines the apps from the iPhone and the iPad and the other Apple devices. So it's much easier to use, and you won't have to learn to use another library of apps. Another thing is that it's based on Unix just like Linux. So it has lots of things that are in common with Linux, such as the layout looks similar, and the apps are similar, and also the terminal language is similar. This makes it easier for you to use the operating system if you already know how to use Linux. For people like developers, this is a really good choice. Another thing is that it's a closed system, so you don't have to deal with hackers and stuff. Because you can only get macOS if you bought a Mac device. And while Mac devices might cost more money, the price can be easily justified because the operating system is made by one single company. So it does cost them more money, and the operating system is it's more RAM friendly to devices that have less RAM, and it's based on your hardware. Um, you can always change the appearance and layout just as you would in Linux by going to a terminal or downloading things like free tools. And there's a big library of apps, but if you don't have an app you need, you can always download, you can always dual boot using something called Boot Camp, which you can download Windows on, or you can always do a virtual machine, or you can download Wine. So you might think that there's not app support, but you can always use these other operating systems, and you can't do that on any other operating system because macOS is proprietary. macOS is pretty lightweight, even though it consumes lots of RAM, but it looks lightweight and it feels lightweight, so it's much easier to learn. And as for gaming, you can still game by streaming, and you can also game even though it's not as good as Windows, you can still do most of the things. And another pro to Macs is that they have better screens, so you can watch content and play games and outstanding resolution, and the colors look more bright. So when you edit video, it's much easier to understand and make your videos better.
Is that all?
No, it's not.
Oh, there's more? Okay.
And unlike Windows, the manufacturer doesn't have to pay for the operating system. So Macs have more premium materials, like things like the chassis is made out of aluminum, a really good type of aluminum. There's like no flex. Keyboards are really good nowadays, and things like the webcam and the ports are really powerful, so you can attach lots of docks, and you can have like almost unlimited ports for anything you want. And yeah, and the updating is much easier. You don't have to they don't force you to update. It's more and it's kind of easier to update. And macOS also takes less storage than Windows, so it's much you can put more stuff in your hard drive. And there's only one current edition of macOS, so you don't have to download other versions of the operating system just to have features that should be included. Or you did pay less money for the operating system. I'm done.
Alright.
Right, so, okay, next, can we counter each person? Hello?
Okay, I want to say something about Linux.
Wait, no, what if we'll go in the order back, okay, so, like, I'll counter-argue against Mac and Windows, and then, you'll argue against Windows and Linux, and then Sophic will counter-argue against, YouTube, okay? Okay, thank you. So, I'll argue first. First of all, so the thing that you said about, Linux, Chillax, about it not having support for gaming. So here's the thing. True, Linux does have a compatibility problem. Okay? It's not compatible with many apps, and that is because many developers don't look to create apps for Linux, as it's not that widely used operating systems for users. However, there is something called a Wine. Wine is basically a compatibility layer that goes between your Linux and then the app. So basically, what it does, let's say you have a Windows executable file. The executable file, what it'll do, like it'll actually go through the compatibility layer so Linux can understand it better. It Think of the compatibility layer like this. It's basically a translator.
Wait, I have to say something about that. That's
No, wait,
not
say
all
it in your
factors.
turn.
I have experience. I have Zorin OS on one of my old PCs, and when I try to download a few exe apps, it always glitches me fast.
Okay,
And that's not a hardware related issue.
okay, but even
I
then,
don't really have an experience with Linux stuff.
so here's the thing. Even though that there's not enough you can always run Wine. There are other compatibility layers as well, and some operating systems have native support for Windows.exe files. Some Linux distros have native support for Windows.exe files. Okay, so compatibility, yes, it is going to be an issue, but hopefully the compatibility layer will alleviate some of that issue. Okay, and about gaming, so if you do you guys know what Steam is? Steam is basically a library of games. Like, you'll pay a monthly subscription and you get a library of games, right? So all Steam games, if many Steam games, if not all of them, are actually compatible with Linux because the company that makes Chillax, can you mute your microphone, please? Chillax?
There's another thing bad about Linux. So there's multiple distros, so it's harder to choose which one you want, and there's different commands for each distro, so it's really hard to learn everything. And every distro has different features,
Stop
so
it.
it'd be good if there would be one thing with
Stop it. Well,
Yeah.
we're going in a circle, okay? So I'll argue first, and then Chillax, you can counter argue against both of us, and then you can counter argue against both of us, okay? But whenever we argue, I just want to make sure there's no interruptions, so it's easier to do so. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you. Okay, can you guys mute?
Why am I saying sorry?
Can you guys mute? There's a lot of background noise on Chillax's
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
Okay, so back to what I was saying. So about Steam, many of the Steam games are actually compatible with Linux because Valve, the company that owns Steam, Valve's Steam OS is actually based upon a Linux, the Linux kernel. Sorry. So therefore, a lot of the games in Steam are compatible with Linux, and game compatibility with Linux is still growing. So I could consider Linux a growing operating system. So if not now, in the future, it will still be a very good operating system. Okay, and about macOS being proprietary, I agree. But even then, if I were to argue about this, so remember how you said that Macs are very high quality? Well, guess what? You can find Windows laptops and Linux laptops as well, Windows and Linux computers that are just as premium, if not better. That's because wait, yeah, that's because like you can install Linux on almost any device. It's very compatible with any device. So just to put that out there. And also, Shashank, Satvik, what you said about you not having to pay the manufacturer to install your OS or something, like paying a commission to the manufacturer. There is only one manufacturer of macOS devices. Do you realize that? No other manufacturer can install macOS on their hardware because their hardware is not going to be compatible with macOS unless they make some modifications to the OS. So, yeah, you don't pay commission because it's not you don't pay commission because it's only specific to one device. Does any Chillax, do you want to go next?
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, no. Okay, first of all, I want to argue about Mac. I agree a lot of things about like Linux, but I want to talk something about Mac. Okay. Okay. You mentioned that Apple is the richest company in the world.
Oh yeah, that.
It is true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's not the richest company.
It's not related to the operating system topic. But why do you think they're so rich? They make their products so like the prices are so high. That's like a feeling that
Okay, but then again, what if the price is so high for Apple products, and why are they going out and buying them? Okay, that's another thing to
The
consider.
thing is like they're high because they create like a aura of premium devices. And the thing you said about better Windows laptops for less price, um, you can't really find it, like even if you buy a Windows laptop that's as good as the Mac in like design and processors and stuff, you'll be able to find it around a similar price. You won't be able to find it like at a lower price. And like new features come to Mac devices first, like the touchpad. So that the touch bar that came to the Macs first. That type of stuff came to Macs first before it went to Zenbooks.
okay, here. Look here. The lowest MacBook price is $800. But if you see Windows, the lowest price for a
Dude, it's
Windows
$1,000.
laptop is that was there it is.
Yeah, for a MacBook Air, it's
MacBook Air
$1,000.
13-inch, it's $800, and it could go up to $1,000.
There are some things that
Wait, a
like Air
Windows
has.
computer costs $200. It's as good as that. $600.
$200 Windows computers aren't as good as a MacBook Air.
Fine. But there are
And the MacBook Air
lower
has some
costs.
things
There
that
are Windows computers with lower costs, better than MacBooks.
yeah, but there's some
It's
things that
drastic.
design and Thunderbolt ports.
No,
Thunderbolt is much better
no,
than all those.
Windows has more ports than
Okay,
Mac.
here's the thing about Thunderbolt.
No,
Okay,
good job.
no Thunderbolt. We're gonna talk about Thunderbolt. Okay, so Thunderbolt, it's not a completely mastered interface yet. Okay, it is a very good interface. It's very very fast. It's very compatible with other devices. But then again, not every single device uses it. As we progress, as technology progresses, I can see Thunderbolt becoming very very popular. But right now, just switching to plain out complete Thunderbolt, that's kind of like taking the headphone jack out. Many people are still dissatisfied with that, and I'm pretty dissatisfied about that too. I personally like the headphone jack, and personally I like having other port selections as well. I don't want to carry around a dongle with me every single day, so I think for now having Thunderbolt is fine, but it's not fine to go complete Thunderbolt.
Wait. Okay, now I'm gonna go against Linux. Now, what I think about Linux is that there isn't a dedicated tech support. Like,
Uh-oh. Shashank?
I'm okay.
Okay, he's back. I'm pretty sure it was just a connection dropout.
yeah, no, I accidentally X'd out of the.
Oh my god.
Wait. There isn't a dedicated tech support, in my opinion, so getting fixes for things is in your hands. So unless you subscribe to Enterprise Linux, then they're gonna have a dedicated support. You know what Enterprise Linux is?
So, okay, so about the tech support, okay, I already covered this. So, there are advantages and disadvantages to having a community-based operating system, okay? Number one, that one of the advantages of having a community-based operating system is that you don't, like the privacy, in the privacy aspect, you don't have to share, like Microsoft won't take your information because it's completely open source, and only you have to share the information that you want. And so basically you'll contact the community with your information, and the community will respond, and the community responses are actually pretty quick. So I've seen instances where the community, like somebody will ask the community, the Linux forums, that they have a problem with their operating system, or I want to tackle a project on this operating system. I need some help. Okay, and there have actually been instances, a lot of instances actually. In most cases, you'll get a very quick response back from somebody in the community. So I think that Linux's community support is very very good. And first of all, and like unless you're gonna get like really dirty with your operating system, when are you ever gonna need customer support? That's the other thing I want to mention. In most cases, you probably won't need customer support. And in other cases, even if your operating system does do something that you don't want it to do, uh, you can research yourself and find out. That's what you'll
Still cases where you need customer support.
exactly. And if you need customer support, you can turn to the community.
And since your thing, since Linux isn't paid, like there aren't as much features. Like you won't get as much security and stuff.
No, that's the thing. There's not as much of a user base, okay? And then the concept of repositories and all of that, it just makes Linux a whole lot more secure. That's why I think that Linux has a very high potential, because as it keeps going, even if it is open source, as a progression of Linux keeps going, it'll always be it'll always keep growing upon security. It'll always get new features. It'll and yeah, it'll always get new features, so it's pretty good. I think that Linux is for those people who it's not for those who want a very user friendly UI. It does have user friendly UI. In some cases, I mean, a lot of people, like in my opinion, it's pretty user friendly. Some of the distributions are very user friendly.
Yes, 'cause you have a technical, at least like some technical knowledge.
Some technical knowledge, but I've only used it for about a year now. But even then,
So plus another thing, the most popular Linux distribution is
Ubuntu.
made by Canonical, which is a pretty big company, and they also probably take your data in some way, shape, or form. You don't know that, right?
but
You can't just assume that they don't take your
if
data.
you look at what they say, the Ubuntu.
But you can't really trust what they say.
No, okay, listen. Ubuntu is an open source distribution. They probably won't take your data, okay? But even if there is, there
How
are.
do you know?
Huh?
How do you know that
But
they...
you should-
It's open source.
Okay, fine.
It's literally open source. You don't have, and there's no connection. Whenever I've installed Ubuntu on a VM before, and whenever you do that, there's nothing about privacy policy or anything like that when you install Ubuntu. Do you know the reason why?
Yes, I have no idea about the privacy policy. Next.
True, but whenever you install Ubuntu, there is no, like, whenever you install Windows, let's say, whenever you install Windows, what do you think happens? Like, you'll go through the pages, okay, and then there'll be like and then in the end, it'll say like advertising ID, privacy policy, and all that, okay. And whenever you try to install Ubuntu, have you noticed that there's nothing in that form or fashion?
Well, the thing about Ubuntu is it's just like all the other Linux distributions. They haven't really made like anything extra on their thing, right?
What do you mean?
So, like, it doesn't really have anything different than all the other distros. That's the thing. Like, most of them are just like the same thing. So there isn't really a point.
No, there's Manjaro. There's Manjaro, which is based upon Arch
Most
Linux.
of them are like the same thing.
No? Okay, so here's the thing. So, about Arch Linux and Ubuntu, if you look at Arch Linux has a huge number of apps and resources available at its disposal, okay? Whereas Ubuntu, based upon Debian, it doesn't have that much. So, there is support for more apps and stuff on that. And every Linux distribution is different, but they all have one thing in common, which is the Linux kernel. No, two things in common actually. Linux kernel, command line, and basically just some more aspects of the UI. But other than that, there's not much common about every distribution, except that they're based upon the same kernel.
Okay, so are we done arguing, or do we have?
So, Chillax, do you have any counter arguments to make? Okay.
I think we can add Trevor now if you want to talk to.
Sharva. Sharva, are you there? Okay. Anybody on the live chat? If anybody is on the live chat that wants to be on the call, please respond now with your email so that we can add you.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Let's wait like 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
There's 3 people watching in my thing, and everyone's saying that your thing isn't working. Your thing isn't working.
Mine?
No, it's working for me. I went
Yeah,
to
let's check.
campus this week. It was working.
It's lagging sometimes, but it's still working.
Wait, dude, for the Mac, are they ever gonna improve on gaming? Because like that's something that they don't.
I feel like the Mac is more of a productivity machine.
Yeah, they don't focus on gaming. Like I feel like gaming is something important because like computer games are becoming more advanced and they do require a large amount of space.
True. But then,
And, like on top of the range graphics, right? They need a really good graphics.
oh yeah, so here's the other thing about macOS, okay? They're stuck, like, Apple, what they do, they only get Intel CPUs, okay? And AMD CPUs are godlike. They're amazing CPUs. You can overclock them, which Apple doesn't let you do anyway because they're a closed system, just like Steve Jobs wanted, okay? So, they only get Intel CPUs, okay, non-overclockable, and they make you pay a hefty fine for those, okay? And you don't even get NVIDIA GPUs, you get AMD GPUs instead, okay? The newer versions of...
Well, that's the same thing with Linux. It's harder to use NVIDIA GPUs.
No, at least it has support for NVIDIA GPUs.
That's exactly.
And again, support will grow for Linux as time progresses, okay? So, then again, at least Linux is least used in the market, but so what? It still has the potential to grow, okay? It's used in servers, and even regular people use it. I use it pretty often for schoolwork, okay? Even though support's not that big. Wait, okay, so Sharva wants to be in the thing, okay? So let's see, show. Okay, so Sharva wants to get added. Let's add Sharva.
Okay.
So...
Wait, how long are we gonna do this?
Maybe like 10 more minutes. Right?
Yeah,
Okay, Rishabh wants to join the meeting, so I'll let him in. Hey, Rishabh.
So what operating system do you support? Just give some arguments.
Rishabh?
Hello.
Hi, Rishabh.
Yeah, Rishabh, what operating system do you support? We just wanna know.
What?
What operating system do you support?
I use macOS and Windows.
So since you have experience with both of those, what do you think is better, like overall?
First of all, I just want to say Mac is not built for gaming.
True,
Operating
true.
systems have different purposes for different people. Windows is mainly for gaming and stuff like that, and then macOS is meant for productivity. They're like, and then overclocking is available on macOS. You just have to disable system integrity protection.
Okay, but is it natively supported?
Yes.
If you disable
Yes.
that integrity protection, is Apple going to cover your warranty?
Yes.
No.
If you go within the turbo boost of Intel's CPUs, if you go within turbo boost, then yeah, they don't care.
Wait, okay, Sharva. Sorry, Sharva. Let me add Sharva as well. Dot parole at Gmail. Wait. Sharva, we sent you an invite. Check your email and then join it.
It's just been something to be muted. if you're trying to talk.
Okay. Sharva, we sent you an invite to your email. If you want, I'll send the invite again.
I sent it in email. Sure.
Yeah. So.
So everyone is welcome. In the call if you want. What we want to know is just your opinions on each operating system. So
We have
we're
plenty
letting
of time
anyone
to talk about this. I have 40 more minutes until I have to go.
say I have to leave.
I have 40 more minutes.
Yo, Priyan, if you want to join, you could. He's active on the screen. So
Oh wait,
I don't know what
Priyan?
operating system. Yeah, I don't know what operating. Yeah, I sent him the link.
Oh wait, Priyan is wait, Priyan
Join if you want.
is Priyan multitasker?
Yeah,
Oh, okay then.
he wants.
Okay, so Sharva Peralkar joined. Hey Sharva. Quan wants to join. Wait, what?
Okay.
Wait, where did Quan go?
Yeah,
Okay, admit entry.
send the link.
Okay, so Quan. Hey Quan. Quan.
I don't think his mic is working or something. Quan Sharva, we just want you to share your opinion
Okay.
on which operating system you think just
Quan,
you're
Sharva,
more user friendly.
and Rishabh, share your opinions. Okay. Quan. Sharva,
Anyone?
there's no OS that's completely superior to the other. Okay, I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. That's exactly what Rishabh said, okay? But
They're
here's...
for different purposes.
Okay.
There's no operating system that is superior to another because every operating system
Yeah, no, we
has
just
their
wanna
ups
know
and
which
downs
one you
that the
prefer.
other operating system doesn't.
Yeah, which one do you prefer and why? So here...
We just want to know which one you guys like more. Like I know there's not every operating system
My
is
cousin, for
perfect.
example, he has a Windows gaming machine, and then he also has a Mac. So he games on his computer, and then he just does his work on the
No, we
Mac.
can't hear you, Sharva.
Even though he's like right next to his gaming PC, he has a Mac that he likes to use because macOS is good for productivity and working.
Exactly. So what he means is like kind of meant for different purposes, kind of.
We
Yeah,
completely
so I can't
agree.
have a favorite operating system. Linux is also just for developers mainly.
Which one do you find using?
So that's agreeable.
Here,
Which one
so
do you find
if
using
Linux is for
most often?
developers, then why are there distributions of Linux that are meant for people who are coming from Windows 7 or Windows 10, and it copies basically the exact same GUI as that. So there are distributions of Linux that are meant to be that are meant for it that are meant for users, regular users. Even though that Linux is not the best for
Let me ask you this:
regular users.
do Windows people Hackintosh so they can game on macOS?
No,
Why do you
they
think Windows people Hackintosh their Windows PCs?
so that they can have another operating system, so that it can interface with their Apple devices, because Apple is so huge at like having an ecosystem.
Alright, okay. You can use jailbreaks if you really want to use that, right? Besides,
Not
besides
jailbreaks.
Apple.
This is not iOS. This is like macOS and stuff.
Wait, you're not talking about iPhone, right?
No.
No, we're talking about.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So about jailbreaking, Sharva,
Yeah.
what do you have to say about jailbreaking?
I was talking about iPhones. Like, if you, like iPhones are generally like actually like really good at if you want to use it with like a with a Windows device or any other type of device, right? It's really not that bad.
It's not that bad. I have an iPhone.
And if you're being like nitpicky, then yeah, you can jailbreak.
I have an iPhone, and I'm using a Windows device to broadcast right now.
Yeah, what about it?
Yeah, so here's the thing. The thing about iPhones is that they interface very well with Macs. I'm getting an Apple Watch soon. I have
Because they're designed to. Like that's the whole point.
exactly, but
You know.
here's the thing. But do you think having an open operating system is better than having something like an open operating system that is good in all forms of compatibility versus having something that's completely closed source and only interfaces with one device?
But the thing is that Apple has it closed, and it's pretty much one of the most like secure OSs.
And that was one of my points. Well,
Because some things are open source, right? Most of them are extremely unsecure. Like people can add some sort of whatever, right? And it can make
True.
it super unsecure. And you wouldn't even know it.
I mean, that is true because it's open source. It's basically a Wikipedia. Think of it as a Wikipedia. It can be changed. But even then, like, if you look at Linux being open source, it still has this concept of repositories. If you think it's so... Okay. How am I supposed to put this? Okay, here we go. If you think it's so insecure, why do companies, major companies, even Apple and Microsoft, for God's sake, okay? Why did those two companies use them as their servers? Aren't they multi-billion-dollar companies? Apple's a trillion-dollar company, sorry. So, why did they use them as their servers? They hold critical information, and do you think that they would trust Linux if it wasn't secure?
That's different than the type of Linux that we use. That's the server Linux. It doesn't have a graphical interface. That's not the type of thing that regular people would use. So that's not really question.
Whatever, it's still Linux, it's still open source. Like, you can still look at its source code, right? You can find deficiencies in the source code and go through it.
But that also has risks. People can change it. That's what the whole thing is about. People can change it.
There we go. Okay. If you want to talk about changing, even if you change it and then you publish it, okay? So that's why when you use Linux, you have to be a little bit more careful than the others, okay? When you
That's what you don't have to worry about when you're using other OS.
No, okay, think about this. No, think about it this way, okay? Sorry. If you're looking at a major Linux distribution, such as Ubuntu or Pop! OS or Manjaro, those three are all assured. You know why? Because there's a bunch of users that use them, and if there was a deficiency in the source code, then a user would point it out. Okay? Because
But for people that are inexperienced.
Hello? Sharva? You just got muted.
Yeah. Sorry. They wouldn't. People that are new or beginners, they wouldn't see that, right? They wouldn't understand that. With other OSs, you don't have to worry about people like beginners or anything. It's just completely optimized for everybody.
But, okay, like Rishabh said, there's an operating system for everybody, okay? And sometimes, think about, this is a very popular debate that's been going on for about 10 years now. iOS versus Android, okay? I'm not going to completely bring it up, but a lot of people doubted Android about its security in the first place. Because Android is also open source, it's based upon Linux. But here's the thing, Android, just like Linux, allows for a greater degree of freedom. But iOS, just like Windows or macOS, doesn't do that. Windows, okay, it has a good degree of freedom, but even then, it still is limited in certain aspects. You can't change its source code.
Where?
You can't change its source code, Rishabh. You can't change Windows' source code legally.
But you can't really change the source code in Linux either.
Oh, no, you can't.
That is...
Linux is open source. You can change its source code if you want.
You need to understand what open source means. It doesn't mean you can just go there and change
Okay, no.
Open
You can
source
make...
is a
Okay,
license.
I know open source is a license, okay, but here, look at this. You can copy Linux source code, okay? You can view and edit the source code to make your own distribution. You see, Windows doesn't allow you to do that. macOS doesn't allow you to do that. Linux does.
Is that really a bad thing, though? Is that really a bad thing?
Like Rishabh said, there's an operating system for everybody. Some people want to create their own operating system. Linux is for those people and those people only.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Dude, it's not for people who want to create their own album.
No, it's not only for those people. Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Okay, let me rephrase that. Okay, Linux is for the developers.
Go make your own operating system. Get Linux.
Okay, Linux is for the developers. Okay, Linux is for the
You can
developers.
make your own operating system in any operating system, but it's not. It depends on which one is optimized for it.
What do you mean? No. Okay, you can base an operating system off of Linux. You can't do that with Windows. Windows is a proprietary. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, this is getting out of hand. Okay, wait. This is getting heated. Honestly, this is...
And everyone's like arguing over the same thing.
Okay. Any other things that anybody else wants to add? And if you guys want to join, this is the time.
Okay. You don't need Linux to write in assembly. You can write in assembly anywhere. Assembly the programming language for operating system. You don't need Linux to do that.
Okay, wait. Let me research that really quickly. Wait. Can you edit Windows source code? Let's see.
He doesn't even know his own answers to like what he's debating. It's kind of sad.
Okay, can you edit Windows source code? Go. You can't edit You can't edit Windows source code. It's not possible. Legally, it's not possible to edit Windows source code. If you're going to be editing Windows source code, it's going to be illegal to do so.
So why would you even want to edit?
I'm gonna leave this call. This call is kind of useless.
Yeah, same.
These are like really stupid topics.
Adios, everyone.
I was like,
Okay.
we're opening a new YouTube channel for these type of things. So I would like
these guys
you
are
guys
just.
check it out. I'll post the link in the description. I'll post the link in the description.
Yeah,
for
link in the
you.
description for the new YouTube channel.
You messed things up.
Me?
Maybe not. I guess you're sharing your opinion.
Well, yeah, I was just sharing my opinion, okay? But I think in order to your video's garbled.
Doing your open source arguments.
Stop, Nick, your video's garbled.
Alright, okay. I mean, I guess this went. I mean, it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. We got some good ideas, okay? So what's the
Until random people started joining. Okay.
Okay, so let's come to a conclusion, okay? So, what do you think Windows is for? Windows is built for what?
It's for basically everyone.
Yeah, that's to use your Wait a second.
But what do you think it's mainly for? I think Windows is mainly meant for gaming. Because of its DirectX 12 support. Stop, Vic, your video's garbled.
Wow. Dude, it's good. I checked it.
Dude, your
Everyone, no one complained. Literally no one complained.
okay, now it's back up. Wait. It's still garbling.
Look, one of the basic, primary aims of Windows is to unify the Windows experience around multiple devices.
But how are they gonna do that?
Okay, obviously, but that's it.
Hello?
Okay, guys, you're done, okay?
Okay, no, but let's come to a
We need
to come to a conclusion topic, okay? So macOS is obviously for productivity and those who want more security, okay? So what do you think Windows is for?
Okay, gaming.
Gaming?
That's what a lot of people use it
Okay,
for.
okay. Before we go, let's decide what we're gonna make the next thing about.
But wait, not yet. We're coming to a conclusion. Just
Yeah.
wait.
Windows is for gaming and a more simplified user experience, right? A more similar user experience to what you've experienced before, right?
Alright.
And
Yeah.
I think personally Linux.
I mean, if people can't really afford Mac, I think Windows is just a really good option.
Right now. right now Windows is a really good option. I'm using a Windows machine right now. Like my PC that I built, I'm using Windows on it. But
You don't know that.
okay. So but here's the thing. Windows is a really good option right now because of its support for many things, but I think Linux has a high potential for the future right now. So, for those who want to be more prepared for the future, for those who want to program, for those who want to get dirty with their operating system, for those who want to edit their operating system, for those developers that want to do all that stuff, Linux I think is a great choice for you guys. And for those who have an older PC that doesn't have as much hardware, like as powerful hardware as current systems right now, I think Linux is a great choice because it has a certain amount of features, but then it's also very less resource heavy. So I think Linux is also a great choice right now.
Something I can't hear you.
So both your video and audio are jarbled.
Dude, that's your Wi-Fi. They might think you can find like see everyone else.
I'm streaming right now. I'm streaming right now at a really good resolution.
Dude, you should have stopped streaming when Chillax said was like that left messed up. That's your nice stuff.
No, this is a completely open discussion. Okay, I want people
You
to
just
learn
got it.
about which one is each. That's the
Okay,
purpose.
what stream making about?
Okay, so in conclusion, guys, the conclusion for this meeting is that oh, you're presenting. Okay, wow. Okay, the conclusion for this meeting is that
it's so good at playing games.
macOS is for those who want to have a private, secure, and more productivity-based operating system. Windows is for those who want to game and have a similar user experience. Linux is for those developers who want to get quick and dirty, like for those who want to edit their source code, those who want to program, and all of that stuff. Okay?
Yeah,
I think
I don't think Linux is good for beginners.
Linux is not good for beginners. It's for the developers.
You need a technical idea.
True. Okay.
That's what we've been saying earlier.
So that's the conclusion to the meeting. Okay. So what do you guys want to do for the next live stream?
Next, yeah, now we can discuss that since we came up with a conclusion. We're not gonna argue about iOS versus Android because that's
Oh man, come on! I want to do that.
Nobody wants to argue. No,
That might actually.
nobody wants to watch that. But we want something that the audience would like. Like, what would you debate about this year, 2020? What's the any trends, something?
Coronavirus.
Yeah, that's what I was
It's
thinking.
called test tube, bro.
Yeah, true. So any tech things to debate
Okay,
about.
you wanna argue
What about how-
like, some free option?
How demand for tech is increasing due to coronavirus?
Dude, that's not something we can argue.
Yeah.
It's not something that we argue.
Let's find.
Well, let's not make our channel always on arguing and stuff. Just presenting.
I thought that's what our thing was about.
Okay, something like debating, presenting, and all that stuff.
No, but here.
Because
What do you want our
we
next
don't really have anything to debate about right now. See, you guys are not coming with any topics. Right?
Okay, iOS versus Android is off the table. Okay, first things first.
No one
Second, let's do something about coronavirus and how it's affecting us. Okay, so there is a demand for internet right now and everything, right? Because a lot of meetings are being held online instead of in person and all of that.
Okay, but I know what we can do then. Would you prefer, so we can do lots of things. Would you prefer online school or,
That's a good
So
idea.
we're not doing stuff based off of tech.
That's a good idea, actually. No, but what I think is that we shouldn't argue, but we should discuss. We should discuss about.
Do you prefer your life in the pandemic?
No, wait. But do you think the coronavirus is affecting the tech industry? Some people,
Yeah, we could do that, but then what if...
No, a lot of people are actually debating about that, today.
No, we're not gonna debate about it. We're gonna talk about why, how the demand for technology is increasing due to the coronavirus. Like, we'll
so
all provide
basically-
statistical info and all that, okay?
Wait, so the main title is going to be how coronavirus is affecting the industry.
And there you go, viewers. That's what we're thinking about doing next time, okay? So I'm going to
stay
stop the
tuned,
stream.
guys.
Thanks for watching. I'm going to stop the stream here. And hopefully you learned something about Windows, Linux, and macOS, okay? Thank you for watching. You guys are the best.